Okay. We are all set. I will start with the Finance Committee. And the first introductory is introductory 377, reauthorization residential commercial urban exemption program. Any questions?
I have a question.
Go
Actually,
ahead.
2 questions.
Okay.
Which of these properties did, if we could get a accounting of the properties that filled out the vacancy survey? And what, do we have any data that would inform us on whether or not these projects would happen without the tax break, or what implications for not authorizing it again? I think this is the one that the tenant union was talking to us about.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. There's 5 applications pending. Can we have those 5 proposals, please? To see what it looks like from beginning to where the process starts.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Mhm.
So just a clarifying question, that this tax break can only be used during the during the process of transforming commercial to residential, and not thereafter. And secondly, in the 5th paragraph, it states that the program is being modified, and then lists some AMI requirements for the program. So were there no AMI considerations or no reserved AMI income bands prior to this current iteration? And finally, Katie, last one for me on this one, I think, is does every major city in New York opt in to this plan? This
Break.
this program, I guess, is the right word.
I wonder if we can expand on that to get the cities that do opt in.
Sure.
A full list, yeah.
Anybody else on 377? Okie dokie. Next is introductory 378, agreement Children's Institute Incorporated, Grow Rochester. Any questions? Okay, hearing none.
I guess I just want to ask what the results, what the outcomes of the first year have been. Or is that in the?
I know there's.
No, they provided it on the 3rd page. I'm good. You can strike that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 379, appropriation and budget agreement, American Rescue Plan Act, Kiva Rochester. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Mhm.
What's the title of this one full-time staff member that we're going to pay $175,000 to?
Councilmember Melendez is not here and did ask what other expenses are going to be covered by that amount. So I will also add on what is the title of this staff person.
Please, yeah, the title and the job description, please.
And is this a new position?
Okay.
Number one, second question is, being that this is grant, this is particularly ARPA funds, does this tie us in for more than, what does this commit us to in terms of future payments for this FTE? Is this then going to come out of the general fund? So, you know, after this, how does that work? What's happening there with that? And I think you said that there was already a question asked. What is entailed in this 175,000?
Yep.
Yeah, the breakout on that. What's the dollar amount in terms of salary and what the rest of it is going to?
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Bounce back to 378, that added a question for me on that as to whether this service is in addition to, they're training people to do screenings, and it includes Head Start. But Head Start gets funded for that. So is this in addition to the federal funds that Head Start gets for screening?
Got it. Is that your question, your only question for
Yes,
378?
thank you.
Back to 379.
Yeah, I think some of my questions are the same, like the breakdown of the cost of salaries and benefits. That sounds like Councilmember Evans' question. If this position does exist, how will it change the current responsibilities? If we could get the bracket of the position. And then there's, ARPA funds, generally, they say not to use it for salary. So just wondering, is this going to be a temporary position, or, what's the plan for the future for funding it?
And my other question is there not somebody already in this department that could administer these Kiva loans? And then the second question is, it's October 28th. Is it necessary for this to be put forth now?
For your question, Councilmember Lupian, I am going to, would you be okay with me saying, does this cover fringe? I don't think anyone has specifically asked that, and a lot of times grants do not cover fringe expenses, which include benefits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to be explicit.
What will be the relationship in operating this program with Redco?
Okay. Anybody else for 379? Okay, hearing none. Introductory 380, amendment to an agreement, Northeastern Production Systems, special event production services. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 411, agreement, Cedar Grove Institute for Sustainable Communities. This is H. Wiener.
I haven't seen that one yet. Can you pull it up?
I have a couple questions while you do that, Katie. Oh, I guess I shouldn't make you do three things at once, right?
Yeah, one sec. Thank you. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. I am ready for questions.
One, I'm curious if is Monroe County contributing any money towards this? And two, why was there no request for proposals submitted? Or maybe was there a request for proposals? How about that?
We've got that statement.
There
Yeah,
is a justification for no RFP.
Oh, I don't see it.
Yeah, Katie, if you want to turn, isn't there?
Oh, I see. It's
Yeah.
it's the second page.
It isn't highlighted in the transmittal, which I think is why there's confusion.
Got it.
Did you want to ask?
No, I don't need to ask that question.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it anticipated that these individuals will be on the ground in Rochester at some point? And I think, was the question already asked, how will this connect with the county?
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilmember Lupian, did you have a question?
I did. I seem to remember hearing about, and I could be completely wrong about this, but the Frederick Douglass Family of Initiatives or people related to that approaching some of the commissioners for the Race Commission about this very topic of kind of, tracking accountability, and wondering if they were engaged on this at all.
Anybody else? Okay, another tweener is introductory 414 minimum wage, which everybody on council signed on to. But are there any questions? Okay. Introductory 418, a mandatory agreement with Goldberg Sagala to provide outside conflict counsel in relation to lawsuits against the city. This is a tweener that we got today. Any questions?
What is the specs score shoot about? Oh, wait, okay, it's an EEOC complaint.
Yeah, I believe that's all it says about that
So
complaint.
is outside counsel required anytime there's an EEOC complaint? In the department or for any city department?
Any other questions? If there are none, we're going to go on to NBD. Stop sharing for a second. Introductory 381, sale of real estate. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Oh, no, okay. Introductory 382, sale of real estate, National Susan B. Anthony Museum and House. Any questions?
Yeah, will there be taxes paid on this land?
Anybody else?
I just want to let folks know that you're probably going to be hearing a lot from neighbors in the Susan B. Anthony neighborhood about this over the next week or so. I'm happy to talk further, but just wanted to give people a heads up.
Any other questions? Okay. Introductory 383 grant agreement, EPA Brownfield Grant Program, Bulls Head Plaza. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Introductory 384 agreement, RK Height and Co. relocation services. Any questions?
Do we have any feedback from residents that they've helped relocate that kind of, gives us an idea of their effectiveness?
Okay. Any other questions?
Katie, are you able to pull up 384? I can't find it.
1 second. Almost there. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Any other questions on 384? Okay. 385 is an mandatory agreement, Rochester Refugee Resettlement Services, Cities Rise Grant.
I have questions.
Go ahead.
So we're extending the time frame. Does that mean that they didn't spend all the money in the time that they were allotted?
That's correct, Councilmember Lupian. Because of COVID, they weren't able to spend all the money, so they're just asking for an extension.
Okay. And then just for my own edification, if we don't renew, what are the implications and what happens with the remaining funds?
I can't hear you.
I said, if we don't renew, what are the implications and what happens to the remaining funds?
I believe it goes to fund balance, but I could be incorrect, so I will ask it.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
What has the organization said in terms of, maybe I missed it in the transmittal. I know it's for an additional 5 months through May. So they anticipate being able to do that by May? I mean, do they anticipate actually being able to hit that date? And are there milestones for us to get an early warning if it's like March and we know that, they may have problems doing it in May? Is that built into this?
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Introductory 386 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan, Consolidated Community Development Plan, Emergency Solutions Grant, CARES Act, Program Agreements. Any questions?
I'm curious, it says there's 7 organizations that didn't apply for funding this year. I'm curious if there's, if we have a sense of why that is. If shelters closed or,
Mhm.
if there's- yeah, thanks.
Anybody else?
When, we've had repeated concerns about the intake process for the housing money. Does that get looked at as we're doing these funding renewals and stuff with the agencies? I mean, are they, did they ask for additional funding support? Or are they just there where they can be? I don't have a sense of how we're addressing the repeated
Mhm.
concerns about that.
Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 387, 2021-22 American Rescue Plan Act funding, targeted business revitalization grant program. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Mhm.
I have some Black-owned business owners in Charlotte, and we are not considered an LMI census tract. The bottom paragraph says it must be located within an LMI census tract. Can we eliminate that, or can we put preference will be given to in there?
Councilman Pio, I don't believe so because we had the same problem in the Southwest, but I mean, I would ask it, but I'm pretty sure that it has to be that.
Anybody else?
Yeah. So the 3.7 million is for 4 years. I guess you can frame that question better than I just did, Katie, but that is the first question that I have. It seems to indicates on the second page. How much, what is the proposed annual breakdown? And will it be subject for renewal after each year? And I'm also curious, what is the decision-making apparatus for who does or does not receive grants?
Anything else? Okay,
I'm sorry, Katie, and just
Yeah.
clarification, is this an existing program that we did before? I can't remember.
It is, Councilman Evans, yes.
Okay.
anyone else?
Katie, I'm not sure if it was shared before, but the map of the LMI areas in the city, is that something that they can provide?
Okay. Introductory 388 zoning map amendment, 35 Shelburne Road and 20 Elmerson Road. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll jump.
Mhm.
The second to last paragraph in the transmittal says it ends by saying the proposed rezoning is generally consistent with Rochester 2034. I'd like for the administration to expand upon that and provide a sense of just clarification on what that means.
Anybody else?
I'm, in reading through the notes from the meetings, from the like the resident meetings, and they were, maybe I didn't read them right, because they didn't seem very supportive in general of this. So I was just wondering if I'm missing something.
I read it the same way, Loretta.
Councilmember Melendez did submit this question, which is similar. Has the administration been satisfied with the public engagement from Hospitality Syracuse with the neighborhood? I noticed UMHNA had positive things to say, but also had a list of demands. It is not clear if those requests have been taken into consideration.
Yeah, I'd like to see or know
Mhm.
how those demands have been responded to.
Okay.
Katie, I do know that they changed several things based on what neighbor said, but I don't know that they changed everything. So maybe a list of what was changed in the.
Mhm.
Josanne, does Hospitality Syracuse, do they already own 35 Shelbourne?
No, not
So
unless it happened in the last week.
Katie, can you ask for a sense of who is at who lives at 35 Shelbourne? Like, is it owner occupant? I think I saw that somewhere maybe. And if there is progress in the, I know they can't share the progress, the negotiations, but if they can share if there has been progress.
Yeah, it does say in the 4th paragraph that it's a residential property. Any other questions?
And specifically the concern that that this project is not in alignment with the city zoning alignment project principles. And I didn't see a specific rebuttal or response to that number of comments like that.
Would you like to ask what is the administration's response to comments that this is not in alignment?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 389 zoning map amendment 36 Council Street.
I have a question.
Yep.
Just looking at the Google map of this, it's right across the street from residences, and just wonder, and it's a pretty big lot. Why wouldn't we try to build residential structures instead of turning it into industrial?
Councilmember Lupian, they are going to do a 10-foot setback. They have to put trees and some grading and a fence. But it is going to be for some outdoor storage. And they have some, I guess, the bigger trucks that they'll be parked there overnight.
Yeah, it just, I read the transmittal and it says that it's in alignment with our plans, but just looking at the area, it doesn't seem to be the character of the neighborhood. So just curious why they would, use that, let go of that big parcel of land that I think would be great for houses.
I think that business is doing really well and wants to expand, and I think that's part of the reason.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Introductory 390 appointments Rochester Preservation Board. Any questions?
Just want to thank Josanne for helping get Susan B. Anthony neighbor on the list to be voted on. Bill Marshall, great guy.
He was a great guy. I spoke to him several times. Thank you so much for that.
Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 415, 2021-22 ARPA funding, senior meals program, and this was a tweener. Any questions?
Yeah, so it's it says that it's going to be the term of the agreement will be for 1 year with options to extend for up to 2 additional 1-year periods. What is the cost for 1 year?
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Introductory 416, 2021-22 ARPA funding.
I'm
housing-
sorry, I'm sorry, Katie, just on
Yeah.
that one, if they can just, and I think they've sent it before, the results of the last senior meals program, I think it was successful. But if they could just include that again, I know it's been sent somewhere, but that can be included again.
It does say that the prior iterations of this program served over 42,000 meals. Do you want more information?
Anything else they have beyond that would be great, just so we
Okay.
can point to it.
Mhm.
I'm very supportive of this, but I just want to have some other points.
Katie, they might have it broken down by areas served too, neighborhood served. That might be good to get.
Yeah, I know they give us the CARES report quarterly reports, and it might be in there, but I will ask. Anybody else? I know Councilmember Lupian keeps jumping in and out of this. If you have any questions.
here.
Okay. We are on
I-
415 for senior meals program.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Introductory 416, 21-22 ARPA funding, housing rehabilitation and emergency assistance to seniors, homeowners programs. Any questions?
What is the plan for, what is the NBD staffing plan to administer these funds? Are they, I guess the better question is, will NBD be adding temporary or permanent staff to administer these funds? And how many households do they anticipate serving?
I believe it's 205 properties. Do you want households to see if that's different?
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you. No worries.
anyone else?
Well, it does
Yes.
say that 1.5 positions are added. I guess is the question whether or not those be used to administer the program.
Yeah, and if they're temporary or permanent.
Anyone else?
Yes,
Mhm.
question is, that number 1 and number 2, are those adding together? That we're gonna get 6.827 million, or is that 1 million coming from that 5.8 million?
Joanne, do you know? I can't tell from the legislation. either.
Yeah, I think it's together, but I would ask the question because I'm not positive.
Okay,
I have the same question for 416 and 417. What's been the previous annual allocation for the program?
you said for 416 and 17?
Yep.
Okay. So what is the previous annual allocation?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on 416? Okay. Introductory 417, 21, 22 ARPA plan funding, owner occupant roof program.
I have the same question about staffing, Katie.
This one is temporary. It says in here 1.5 staff positions for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the process to ensure that that seniors were able to get funds for the roofing. I forget exactly how we're doing it, whether it was, they got first dibs to a certain portion and then it was opened up to everybody. I want to know if we still have that in place, and if we don't, how will that be applied here?
My understanding that was that this was all for seniors, but we can find out for sure.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
Actually, thank you. Can I just add one thing to both the last two pieces, which is, are there any new plans to promote these programs, and will the lottery be rolling, or will it be at certain set times? I'm wondering if they can explain that.
so will the lottery be rolling? Or do you mean like the program will open up at a certain time and people have to
Yeah, or if
apply?
there'll be set times where there'll be applications, just a sense of how the fund, how we'll actually get applicants.
Did you want that for 417 and 416?
Yeah, please.
I don't know if you want to ask this, Councilman Gruber, but I know they continue to have a really long list of folks that when they ran out of money. So I wonder if they will be working off that list as well.
Like the waiting list, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else?
I would piggyback off of Gruber's question, or Councilmember Gruber's question, to say that list of folks that's waiting, how will they be notified if there is a new process set forth? Or will they be notified if they continue to be on that same list?
I'll say, will the waiting list of applicants be notified of additional funds?
Thank you. That works.
That's okay. And did you want that for 417 and 416, Councilmember Harris?
Thank you kindly. That would work.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we're moving on to PPW. First one is introductory 391, 392, agreement with Bergman Associates for the Aqueduct Reimagined in Riverfront Promenades project. Any questions?
I have one.
Mhm.
So just to make sure I understand, the $4.5 million is strictly for design? There's no work involved in that 4.5 million? Meaning no construction work?
Councilmember Gruber, did you want to touch on this? I know we talked about it at review.
Yeah, this is strictly design, and it's a preliminary design. It's going to really talk through costs, public engagement, etc. But this is just a giant project. The construction cost they anticipate being this is not like a formal quote, but they anticipate it being well north of $50 million when it comes back. So the 4.5 is probably commensurate with that, but that's a lot of this is the public engagement process.
And these funds
Okay.
are all Rock the Riverway funds, they noted in review.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to keep that. You don't have to include that question then. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Gruber.
Anybody else?
I do.
Go ahead.
So just to be upfront, I'm super not, I'm not for this project, but So my questions are kind of coming from that place. So how much have we spent on Broad Street, redoing Broad Street in the last 5 years? Do we have feasibility studies to show that this project will attract the kind of economic activity and public usage that we're hoping?
Oh, okay, hold on. Do we have feasibility studies to show this kind of, what'd you say?
That the project will attract the kind of economic activity and public engagement that we're hoping for.
Okay.
What are other options that we have considered for the aqueduct? And then finally, what are the implications if we don't do this project with Constellation Brands? Because I know that was somehow part of the deal.
Do you mean what are the implications if we don't do this project with Constellation, not if Constellation doesn't?
Like coming to the aqueduct building.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 393, Main Street, Streetscape and Pedestrian Wayfinding, Phase 2. Any questions? Okay. Hearing none. Introductory 394, change in direction of traffic flow on Bradford Street. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 395, change in the direction of traffic flow on Manila Street. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 396, milling and resurfacing project, Chestnut Street, North Goodman Street. I skipped East Avenue. So it's milling and resurfaces project, Chestnut Street, East Avenue, and North Goodman Street. Any questions? Okay. Hearing none. Introductory 397, 398, Agreement Fisher Associates, Engineering Design and Construction Administrative Services, Milling and Resurfacing Project, Brooks Avenue, Jefferson Avenue, and Thurston Road. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 399, 2023 Preventative Maintenance Group 1, East Avenue, Culver Road, Garson Avenue to Laurelton Road, Culver Road, Clifford Avenue to Norton Street, South Ave, and University Avenue. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 400, 2021 Preventative Maintenance Group, Maintenance Northwest Group 12, Driving Park Avenue, Emerson Street, and J Street. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 401, New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Grant Application. Any questions? Okay. Moving on to Public Safety, Recreation, and Human Services. Introductory 402, Agreement, Mitchell Harris, DBA Hoop and Holla, Athletic Skill Development and Academic Support. Jose's smiling.
I love hearing you say hoop and holla. I do have a question though. Will this be at the new sports complex in the Northwest? And will it be free to kids?
Okay, anyone else? Okay, introductory 403, 2021-22, annual action plan, consolidated community development plan, job creation and youth development mural arts project. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 404, agreement, New York State Department of Health Comprehensive Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Grant. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 405, agreement, New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services Motor Vehicle Theft and Insurance Fraud Prevention Grant. Any questions?
If RPD's received this grant for over 10 years, why was this not incorporated into our normal budget?
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Introductory 406, appropriation and budget amendment, American Rescue Plan Act. And this is the one for the expansion of the Office of Business Intelligence. Any
Hey,
questions? Yeah,
Mary had to leave, but she has put some questions for this in the chat.
I believe she emailed them to me as well. I will note them. Thank you.
Mhm.
My question, Katie, the executive order 203 included a lot of recommendations related to OBI. Does this appropriation allow for all of those to be attained? Are there additional, are all of these dollars used for staff? Are there additional, is there additional software or equipment that is needed to achieve OBI's intentions?
I do believe on the last paragraph, which I'm not sure if that's answering your question, it says the funds will be used to hire 5 data analysts and then upgrade the existing open data portal. So I'm not sure if that implies they're using it for something beyond staff.
Yeah, I'd like some clarity there.
Okay.
And also how long, like, are these permanent staff members?
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 407, grant agreement 2021 State Homeland Security Program. Any questions?
I have a question. How are they managing the CERT training during COVID? And how do they plan to handle that this year as well? Actually, if they could send me or send us numbers of those who've been trained.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 408, agreement, American Medical Response, Inc. Any questions?
It's tangential, but I've heard of big shortages for EMTs in our community, and I'm wondering if we can get a status update on where we are in terms of calls for service, response time, et cetera.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 409, appropriation of federal forfeiture funds overtime. Any questions?
I do. Can we have a breakdown of what districts these guns and drugs came out of?
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Next is introductory 410, agreement with Empire Justice Center and the Police Accountability Board.
I'm sorry, Katie, I couldn't take myself off of mute, but I just want to verify that every single dollar in 409 is being spent on retroactive overtime. And I guess the follow-up question to that is why, I don't know how to say this, President Scott, but in my years, I've never seen a transmittal like this where we're asked to approve overtime because overtime's already in the regular operating budget. Do you have a good way of asking that question, or is this something you've seen before?
I believe that in order to get, this money is not in our budget. The forfeiture fund money is not in our budget. So to get it out, we have to take this action.
Thank you.
Anybody else on 409? Okay, back to introductory 410, agreement with Empire Justice Center and the Police Accountability Board.
Let's find out, and I know I'm the signator for this, but Empire Justice Center, the comprehensive language access plan development, do they have one for their operation? Just trying to get a sense of where they fit on the landscape for that kind of service.
Anybody else? Okay. Introductory 412, agreement with Causeway Community Partners. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 413, agreement coordinated care services. Any questions? Okay. Introductory 419, agreement Rochester City School District overtime police services. This was also a tweener that we got today.
I guess my question is, what will be the impact on regular staffing for RPD? What unit would these members come from? Is there an opportunity to, let me frame it this way. I guess the last question for me is, is the proposal for these officers to be inside of the buildings or to remain outside during the entirety of their time? And it sounds like we'll have an opportunity to hear how the school board talks about this prior to us voting, because I think they're meeting
Today,
tonight, maybe?
yeah. I will ask. Do you want to be provided a summary, or do you just want me to make a note of what occurs? I can just look at it tomorrow.
I will also look at it at some point, but it'd be great for
Okay.
you to send it around to us, Katie.
Yeah, I'll send it around. And
I
yeah.
believe that the issue of where the officers will be is so significant that we would need to have that before we vote, if you want to know the truth, specifically as to whether or not they will be inside or outside at any time. Other question I have, is there a maximum overtime rate?
Okay. Any other questions?
It's only for 30 total days, and they say they're chosen days. What will be the mechanism for the school district choosing the days to have these officers on hand?
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm so sorry, Katie. If no one else is done, I got to go back to 412
Yep,
Sorry.
Causeway.
and 13. Sorry,
Okay.
412 and 13, same question. Why is the money coming from the city budget and not from the PAB budget? If it's
I can
going to,
explain that.
okay,
So the four on 410, the agreement with Empire Justice Center, it says from the Police Accountability Board, and the other two say from the council of or the council and clerk budget. And that's because budget did not have a chance to review the transmittal or didn't see if they did. And budget describes that it's best practice to include what budget it's coming from at a departmental level and not from like a bureau level. So the PAB's budget falls under the council and clerk's budget, which is the department. So it's best practice to say it's coming from the department's budget, not the specific bureau. For like NBD, it doesn't say it's coming from like buildings and zoning. It just says it's coming from NBD. Does
okay,
that make sense?
yeah. So just because 410 said it will come out of their budget for 412 and 13.
Yep. So it comes out of the PAB's specific budget for
Okay.
every item.
All right, thank you. Appreciate
And
that.
then I will make a note that in the future, we double check or triple check. Any other questions? President Scott, you look puzzled.
I'm just puzzled that Vice President Lightfoot is still with us. You know, you're gone by
I'm
now.
right here. I'm right here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm taking it all in.
You're
right here.
usually gone by
Right here with
now.
I'm taking it all in. Great questions, everyone. Keep up the good work.
All right, if there are no other questions, that is everything. I do know Josanne, I think she's still here. She noted that for the roofing program, it's not just for seniors, but preference will be given to seniors.
Still here having a great time, Katie.
So is the baby, I believe.
Yes, you can hear the baby.
Nothing like being a grandma, right?
Love it.
With the ARPA funds, and it refers back to the, I forget the name of the plan. What will we be getting as far as tracking how much money is allocated to those categories and how much is left after we take actions, much as we do with just about every other fund that we have?
So I understand your question, but you know how some for the federal forfeiture funds, it'll say how much we have left.
Yeah.
Could we request that it says how much, or is that too hard because there's so many ARPA transmittals coming every single month? Or we can assume.
I think they keep track, Katie, so I don't think it actually would be that difficult.
Okay. And I know we get a quarterly CARES report from NBD. I don't know if something like that is
Something like
possible.
that.
Yeah,
Something like that would be helpful, I think.
Joanne, we can talk a little tomorrow about that.
Okay.
I'll send an email officially.
All righty.
Anybody else? Think we're all good.
So,
Okie dokie. Have a good night, everyone.
thank you all.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Night.